In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Likewise, in small business, startups, starting your own business, cash is king. And you need to understand, and I'm going to look at or talk about the significant difference between cash and profit in this video. It's a very, very basic concept. But the bottom line is, in the early stages of your business, you're going to need to ensure that you have sufficient cash to keep going, because you must stay in the game. I've been involved in various businesses since 1986. I was in retail for, I think, 20 years or thereabouts. And I noticed very quickly in retail that it was quite possible for me to be running an unprofitable, loss-making business, but stay in business for a long time. And the reason for that was because I was involved in a cash business. I was involved in a business that was throwing off 50 grand a week, every week. So if you think about it from a cash perspective, I was cash positive. I was turning over the stock every day, every 2 days, every 3 days, every week, and bringing in 50 grand. And then I was getting my supplies, my stock purchases from various suppliers on terms like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So by the time I had to pay for the money or pay for the stock, I would have had turned it over a few times. But the fundamental point is this: I was in a very positive cash flow position, and I could have traded away for 6 months to 12 months at a loss and still stayed in business, simply because I had cash and I could keep my creditors at bay, and I could pay one off against the other or play one off against the other, and I could keep going. I could avert any crisis. I could pay wages. I could pay rent if I was paying rent. I could pay rates. I could meet the ordinary day-to-day expenses of the business, the ordinary day-to-day outgoings of the business. So cash is king. Cash is king in a small business. The alternative situation is also true. I could have had a business that was spectacularly profitable, and I could have gone to the wall through the absence of cash. Let's say I was a consultant, let's say I was an architect, let's say I was a builder, let's say I was involved in some activity which, on the face of it, was a very profitable piece of work, a very profitable contract. It could be the commission of a report, it could be the building of some construction project, it could be the building of a house. But, and on paper, the cost of the house, let's say I'm building a house just for the sake of argument. Let's say the cost of the house is 100,000, and I'm just throwing around figures here. And let's say I'm selling the house, the end contract price is 120 grand. I have a 20% return, actually I have more than a 20% return. I have a 20% markup there, 100 grand to 120 grand. The margin is slightly different, but I have a markup of 20%. So I'm going to make a 20% profit in, say, 6 months' time or 9 months' time when I have the house built. The problem is, in the meantime, I've got to buy supplies, I've got to pay the hardware store, I've got to pay for building supplies, I've got to pay for concrete, I've got to pay for cement, and I've got to pay wages, I've got to pay trades, persons, etc., who I might get in to do various tasks. So in the meantime, between now and say 6 months or 9 months' time, when I realise my profit and get paid for the house, I could go to the wall simply because I don't have the cash. I can't pay my way, and somebody is going to pull the plug, bring me to court, and the next thing is everybody hears I'm being brought to court. I can't pay my creditors as and when they fall due. Creditors get in then to an orderly queue, they all queue up, and the next thing is the bank hears about it, checks begin to bounce, etc., etc. So there's two quite contrasting situations. One is a situation where there's no cash coming in for the duration, for example, of the project, say building a house. There's no cash coming in, and yet it's going to be a successful and profitable project, provided I can keep going. On the other hand, I may well be in a retail business high volume, high turnover, small margin business, like for example a petrol station, where the margin is very, very tight, then I could have very positive cash flow, and yet I could be incurring a loss on a weekly and a monthly basis. So bottom line is, you're starting a business, don't overlook the cash situation, don't overlook how you're going to stay in the game in order to develop your business and grow it, and don't confuse or mistake the difference between profitability and cash. Remember, you could be loss making but stay in the game for a long time with cash. You could be very profitable but go to the wall through the absence of cash. I made another video there last week or the week before. It's about the naivety of entrepreneurs, something I've come across in my practice as a solicitor. I'll put a link up here and you can take a look at that. It's probably worth a look. It's a popular enough video, but it's just an observation that I've made about people who come to me for advice about starting their own business and so on. I think it's probably worth a look. If you find this video useful, I would appreciate if you gave it the thumbs up down below, and you may be interested in subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot.